We have journeyed with Hercule Poirot on the Orient Express, aboard a cruise on the Nile, and now inside a haunted mansion. But the greatest mystery of all remains. How does he keep that glorious mustache so well groomed? Welcome, my friends. My name is Ren, and this is my review of A Haunting in Venice. Welcome back, murder mystery fans. I know you are wondering where the rest of my Venice Film Festival 2023 reviews are, but before we finally catch up on those, let's journey together to the city of Venice as we follow celebrated sleuth Hercule Poirot, now retired and living in self-imposed exile in Venice, as he reluctantly attends a Halloween séance at a decaying, haunted palazzo. But when one of the guests is murdered, the greatest detective in the world is thrust into a sinister world of shadows and secrets. And as a frame of reference, so far, I have really enjoyed both the previous Kenneth Branagh Poirot films. Not only am I a big fan of the murder mystery genre, but I like the vintage style he brings to it. This is not a reinvention of the genre. This is just pure classical murder mystery in every way. But Kenneth Branagh is such a playful director that he manages to bring something new into his own interpretations, and he manages to always make the setting a character in itself. An element that has perhaps never been as prevalent in the previous two films as it is in A Haunting in Venice, because the characters and us as an audience are exclusively trapped in this one mansion, and it is a setting that alongside Poirot, we don't really know all the secrets to. It's a strange geography. It may have these secret doorways, and it creates an undeniable atmosphere where Murder on the Orient Express, the train was stopped, but you had options to run away. The cruise on the Nile, essentially the same thing. They were vehicles, but now it's a house. It's a house that everyone around him believes is haunted. And this is a Poirot long past his prime. This is a Poirot that does not believe in himself, and he is surrounded by a ton of doubters, where in the previous films, everyone revered him. Everyone knew how good he was, and he knew how good he was. This is a film that allows Kenneth Branagh to express more of the layers of Poirot in front of the camera, and he utilizes the strangeness of this setting and this story to its strengths. It's the most atmospheric of all the movies. The phantasmagorical cinematography adds a new layer of intrigue that feels disorienting, not only for us, but to Poirot himself as he navigates these unknown corridors surrounded by strangers, which is another dynamic that freshens things up, because in the previous films, he knew a lot of people in those situations, in those circles. In this film, however, he knows two people on who the suspicions arise very early on, as he is essentially forced to attend this seance. And what gives this film atmosphere is not only the people surrounding Poirot, but the immaculate production design. You feel immediately transported to 1940s Venice. Everything about the costumes, from the way people talk, the Dutch angles in this film are fantastic. They immediately bring you inside Poirot's psyche as he feels overwhelmed, not capable of being his best self, but yet he is who he is, and he is compelled to bring this mystery to a close and solve the injustice that has just transpired in front of him. And obviously, Kenneth Branagh does a fantastic job. This is easily the most intimate Poirot story, as it plays with his insecurities, with his human faults, not just his detective prowess, but also Tina Fey's character, who is wonderful in here, and she is stretching her murder mystery from Only Murders in the Building acting muscles. Her character basically represents Agatha Christie, and their dynamic is extremely entertaining. It's filled with humor and with the quirky charm Poirot brings in these films. but also it feels like it's commenting a little bit on Poirot's relationship with Agatha Christie and how they both brought success to each other's lives, but also to a point sort of exploited each other and brought out the worst in each other. But of course, they're not alone. One of my favorite aspects of any murder mystery, but specifically of these Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie adaptations, is how he consistently assembles a varied star-studded cast, this time to include Michelle Yeoh and again Tina Fey, Jude Hill, Jamie Dornan, in what feels like the smallest of his big ensembles, but nevertheless, they all work excellently together and feel precisely plucked for this story. They are as immersed in their characters in this setting as the film brings us to be as it unravels. And it's a very entertaining mystery. It's not one that wastes a ton of your time without getting to the murder and really enwraps you into the mystery of it all, into these strange character dynamics where all of them seem to hold secret. And that is really the best thing a murder mystery can do. Present you all the suspects and unveil little by little all the viable ways each and every one of them can do it, but slowly starting to introduce contradictions as the story unravels and really come to one defining conclusion. All of his films do that rather well. It's just that some find different complications along the way to do it, and A Haunting in Venice is no different. Despite really enjoying the fresh supernatural edge added to A Haunting in Venice, the biggest problem is that this is the third film in this specific franchise. And so you know there's not going to be any supernatural to it. It feels disingenuous. It feels from the beginning like a red herring. And while it helps in the atmosphere, while it helps in setting the tone and is elevated by a fantastic score, it doesn't really feel believable because on that regard, you feel like you already have the answers. If it was the first movie, there's a chance they're going to reinterpret this Poirot with a supernatural edge and twist to it, but unfortunately it really doesn't, and you just don't buy into it. Other than that, while this cast is absolutely fantastic, the characters feel severely underwritten. They're more plot devices and chess pieces rather than fleshed out characters themselves, where you believe all of them have their different reasons, but the film just doesn't dive into them enough as well as it did in the previous two outings. And while I do feel A Haunting in Venice is better overall than Death on the Nile, there was just something about those character dynamics, about the entirely campy tone and characterizations of that film that feel more memorable. As far as the characters in the ensemble, A Haunting in Venice for sure feels like the weakest one, and that's perhaps because it dedicates a lot of time not only to Poirot and diving deeper into his psyche, but in Poirot's relationship to the novelist, the auteur who gave him his fame, who made him a celebrated detective. And because there's so much to this dynamic, all the other ones just fall a little bit to the side. But before I dive into my final thoughts on A Haunting in Venice, it's time for you to start the conversation in the comments below. Share your thoughts on A Haunting in Venice. Check out my thoughts on the previous two adaptations and share your thoughts on those as well. Also, if you're enjoying this review, if you don't want to miss the rest of my Venice Film Festival 2023 coverage, or if you just want to talk more movies and TV, this is the place to be. Consider clicking that subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversations on your favorite movies and TV. A Haunting in Venice sees the versatility of Kenneth Branagh shining behind the camera, with the atmospheric horror and the claustrophobic setting offering Hercule Poirot his most challenging and introspective mystery yet. And while there is an interesting collection of suspects, it thankfully never fully undermines the engagement or the intrigue. I'm giving A Haunting in Venice a B-. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to start the conversation in the comments below with your favorite murder mystery, and stay tuned for more Venice Film Festival reviews to come. Big shout out to my channel members for always supporting the channel, and I'll be back very soon. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.